With much
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this wonderful invitation to come. I think I'll stand up. To come to speak to you today. Thank you, Ambassador Manand, for that beautiful picture that you painted of Bangladesh. Being a romantic myself, I can hear the rain dripping on that music that you speak of. To give you a little background, the firm that I founded a few years ago is called the Ecologic Design Lab. And by ecology, we speak of relating to systems theory, the concept that very important is the interaction and the networking of different elements in a system. And it definitely relates very closely to the reason why we are all here today and for this symposium, because we are here to network, to understand each other's visions, and it's been mentioned a few times, to create win-win situations. Whenever we proceed into a project, there does have to be qualification, and there has to be caution. Growth in and of itself has to be qualified. We want sustainable growth. I really want to give that to you as a background for some of the work that we do at the Ecologic Design Lab. Another core element that I'd like to speak to today is diversity. And I am extremely impressed with the diversity that we have here at the symposium. People have come from all around the world to speak and to collaborate and to interact here. And diversity is a core element in ecology as well. When we look at the stability, the maturity, and the success of an ecosystem. We were speaking yesterday about diversity and how it is a sign of the success of a culture. So bringing all these cultures here from all around the world to speak on development and growth is an extreme asset. So yes, what I'd like to do is go through a few of our projects and then look more specifically at the project we did at the University of Santa Cruz, where we looked at Bangladesh. Since his infancy, my brother Maximilian Göttenbender, he has had an idea to bring people together. I remember him saying to me at a very young age, "I've got an idea. Why don't we build a house where we could all live together?" And when he called me and said, "Thomas, why don't we put the project out there to plan a city for 15 million people in Bangladesh?" I was reminded of his initial spark of idea to bring people together, and I really thank him for that challenge and thank him for the idea. So after going through a few of our projects, we'll look more closely at our Vision Bangladesh that we discussed in our class in Santa Cruz, and then I'll pass the word over to Brandon McNulty, a student in the class, who will talk about the work that he did himself. So we could have the first slide, please. My experience and interaction with urban planning on an international scale really started while I was at university. I took part in a competition to design the master plan for the Olympics in Beijing. And after about a month and a half, about 30 people working on this competition, we had 3 or 4 Chinese interpreters that would not only help us translate the text, but also help us interpret cultural aspects of our project, our design, the colors we would use, and how the water would flow through the site. All these things were details that really needed to be discussed and respected. Next slide, please. Another element of respect was bringing sustainability into the dialogue. At the time, and it was about the year 2000, the concept of sustainability wasn't really being talked about in China, so the ability to provide some discussion in that area was a great opportunity for us. So here we have a landscape plan of the master plan for the Olympic complex that incorporates waterways, lakes, landforms, and vegetation. Next slide, please. And also what the project really promoted was an interaction of the architectural elements, that there is a dialogue happening. The more traditional, and I think our competitors in this competition, they were all Chinese firms. They opted more for a monumental kind of very strong display of power. And what we really brought into the discussion was more of a dispersed layout of the architecture and creating interaction between the landscape and the building architectural elements. And we were happy to win the second prize in this competition, and I think it was a real wonderful air circulation through our buildings. The element of light is very critical, not only for photovoltaic usage, but to create hot water. Daylighting techniques allows us to use less electricity, like today, for example. Air control, daylighting, controlling heat gain is critical for sunlight. Energy usage. In our project, this is a look at traditional resort. Hotel might use about 50% electrical power, natural gas, and other fossil fuels. So in our proposal, we propose to reduce energy usage by about 40%, and the rest would come from mainly renewable sources. In general, we look at the life cycle of our buildings in order to evaluate their sustainability. It was interesting, I had a talk with engineer Wanker yesterday from Strabag. He was saying that life cycle assessment wasn't really of interest to him because his clients weren't really interested in it, and if the clients aren't interested, it wasn't really. And he said in about 5 to 10 years, it might become a topic. Well, yeah, I mean, I would stress that it would be in everybody's interest to think of the life cycle of our designs, and in order to increase their efficiency and their longevity. So basically, by looking at the life cycle of our structures, we can make sure that generations to come will benefit from it as well. So this is a residential project using straw bale construction that is kind of under construction right now in California. It's, again, kind of responding to the landscape. It's based on a radial and a circular grid. The south-facing facade looks fairly conventional. The straw bale wall undulates in elevation and in plan. So we see that here, and it kind of ties the structure into the landscape. This is a competition project that we did. It's the Solar Arc Dubai. It was a landmark tower for the city of Dubai, and I'd like to introduce the concept of sustainable hedonism. I would like you to imagine if we do have free power, if we do have unlimited source of clean water, how wonderful that would be, how many opportunities that would create. So this building creates 200% of its power needs by collecting. It's a solar collector that collects the sunlight and charges a turbine. And that turbine, that heat creates steam, and so as the program for this landmark tower, we have a skyline bath that's about 140 meters up in the air. So you can take a steam bath overlooking the city of Dubai, and the steam and the heat and the water has all been recycled and filtered by the building itself. And this is actually just off the drawing board right now that I'm working on. It's the Point Melati Destination Resort. It's kind of an interesting project. Again, with respect to the regenerative potential of our projects and our design. It's a former fuel depot for the military, and so again, there's quite a bit of toxicity on the site. So as part of our design, we come up with solutions for filtering that, and with the use of green roofs that kind of catch the water and flow into one another, we can kind of filter that air and water. The program for this project is, I think, about 300,000 square meters, and it includes a hotel and a retail area, conference, historic structures to be regenerated, remodeled, and parking structures, and a residential structure as well. So, again, this is kind of work in progress, but I just wanted to show you a quick sketch model that we did of the project. This is a sketch model that could be done in. Best sketch models are done in one sitting. And basically this is the type of, this is basically what got us the job and got us onto the next phase, which we're at right now. Basically green roofs. The idea is that the forms mimic the landscape. This is a point overlooking the San Francisco Bay, and again, these roofs are flowing into one another, accessible green roofs. And here is just a first attempt, a kind of first stab at how the building sits in the landscape there.